collective wisdom is about for us as an organization where we work on complex societal problems. One of the things which comes in again and again is that how do I solve on the ground, which is again multidimensional. The problem is multidimensional, multi-layered, and it can also be addressed in different forms. And every organization takes a stance, has an approach on its own, and it also looks at learning from outside. So it is very important that in that particular context in which we require the solution which is available to the person who's in that context, I think a collective kind of wisdom, because there's no one solution which is workable there. So I would say collective wisdom is a whole. Yeah, we started with Purva. I think we were in one of the workshops, and it was like the first hour moment was there in that workshop, and we usually generally have these group meetings, take notes, and then have that summarize, and then summarize what is possible and what kind of capacities are available there. But when we came back and saw the output in that, I think said that what is the possibility of a tool like this. And during the discussion also, it was about picking up those threads and giving back those points for further discussion, deepening the discussion, etc. So then we thought maybe this is something which will be of useful to the work which we do. I think then we started implementing the Apurva in our context, which is first one was Women Economic Empowerment Program, where we work with nano beautypreneurs. I think what came out was that I didn't know the actual field work which was done, and then what was Apurva listening and how it was processing. But then when I started querying, I think this was amazing. Like we talked about one of the challenges which women face. I think this was a beautypreneur program, very technical issues, how to do, what kind of inputs to be used, how to sort of address it. But then what came out from the entrepreneurs themselves was about how they were stigmatized, and what they require was that how to deal with customers which requires English language, right, training, etc. And also that how they were harassed because they are in this profession, etc. So something which have not come in our normal routine reviews, etc. But then it came in a thing that while others are important, these are coming from there. I think that was a very, very important point to say, okay, well, this is something which is really possible. Because otherwise we have to actually go to the ground, talk to various people, and then it takes about a year to get this kind of perspective. And that's available there was a big moment for me. And the second one is about listening to some of the community voices, the producer collectives. And while they were doing their internal meetings, and then what we were looking for some of the insights from the head office and design team, etc. That was another big area where we said that, wow, you actually can get a set of people coming together, and you don't have to actually depend on people, and then this is something which is available immediately when you want it. These are two places where we thought this is excellent, and this can actually improve our ability to respond to various solutions, and also our ability to sort of get it quickly. That's something which is important. I think we as a Catalyst Group, we are in the fourth decade of our journey, while we are sort of started looking at social issues and complex problems there. I think our aspirations have been, we've just set up something called, our goal is about 100 million and 1,000 crores. 100 million is about how do we sort of impact 100 million vulnerable people. And 1,000 crores is reflective of what we claim is something which was possible there. So when you look at it, one of the key constraints for us was about the whole thing about knowledge, right? How do we solve? How do we solve for these vulnerable population at different parts? And then we said that, okay, one of the things, while we do ourselves, we also work with other collaboratives and networks. And then for all of this, I think it's very important that we have a solution or capacities or other support which is available at a very quick time and which is very, very context relevant there. And that's where we see Apurva coming in, because currently it's left to the few people at the senior management and the co-founders, etc. And we also tried quite a bit on the knowledge management and the learning system. But many times these end up with more of quantitative and quantitatively getting interpreted. But here what we see is that something of a querying, conversational. I think we also saw that local languages are brought in here. We also talk about institutional memory with documentation, etc., which can also be brought in there. And all this can be combined into a theme or a specific purpose for which we can get an answer on. So we see big possibility. I'm just looking at not as a knowledge management tool, actually a impact tool, how organizations' effectiveness can be improved using this. And that's something which we are looking at in terms of the organization. So we as a kind of a complex social enterprise group with for-profit, not-for-profit, different teams coming together. This will create a much more ability for all of us to be able to deliver our work much better. Yeah.
Okay.
So I would say one is about we work across different domains and also different vulnerable population. So how do you build the agency of communities is something which we work with factory workers, work with factory supervisors and women fish vendors, then people who are affected by various diseases, HIV, etc. Then sex workers. We look at all these communities. Everywhere it comes down to how do we build their ability to sort of see the problem and then able to sort of look at how they can respond to that, etc. This whole thing about agency building is something which can be a theme. And when we looked at the sector also, this is something which is very important. So if we start, everybody brings their experiences together, their own reflections together around agency building is something which can be a where Apurva can look at building for those specific units and also for organization and Catalyst as a group and the larger sector there. So that's a use case which we can pick up 2 or 3 themes and then start working, bringing multiple experiences and multiple geographies, domains together there. That's an area which I'm just looking forward to. 2 things I thought of. One is about while Apurva can be an enabler of organizations, etc. I think can it actually be a tool in which new perspectives can be built. So why I say this is because the societal issues are extremely complex and systemic and very, very difficult for people to see this or learn just by reading. And when they listen to people who have gone through this, I was just talking about people like Dr. Varaja Ramaprasad, who was working on the seed system and linking the food, agriculture, nutrition together. Or somebody like Vijay Mahajan, who talked about livelihood as a triad, rather than just livelihood as one microfinance institution. Or somebody like Jagdish, who works on commons, etc. All of these people who have spent years, lifetime, into understanding the system, etc. If we are able to decode them, sort of bring their inputs into something. And these are available to, let's say, the policymakers who are getting, for example, IAS officers who get into this thing and becomes a part of that. And for them to go detail of knowing what is the system's approach, etc., rather than just going and querying on a specific thing when they talk about policy. That is something which can be. So it can be actually a very important impact tool. The second one is about for the, particularly we work with nano, micro and small, medium enterprises. And for them also this can be an excellent, guide for them, which they can carry whenever they face any difficulty, either in production, operations, management or any of those. Because when they hear from the experiences of other entrepreneurs and who they can relate to, and then even I just learned that they can also possibly listen to another entrepreneur while they query all this. This is something which can be. So I'm just looking at more of a impact tool for people who can actually, this can be an intervention model itself for nano entrepreneurs, or it can be a perspective building, which is very important for the policymakers or program planners. So those are the 2 things which I look at beyond our organization into how we can actually make a change in the impact space itself. Now, one is about on the process, it's highly co-creation process. That is one word which comes to my mind. I think extremely open to sort of listening, feeding back and building up and making it actually useful for the people. I think co-creation comes to me number one. Another thing is I think very bold. This is very bold in terms of taking this as an opportunity and then not sticking to only one way of doing and then actually building up, evolving. I see the time when I start to where we are and then what we are looking at as Apurva in the next few years, what I heard is something which is, apart from it is helping others to learn, it is learning and then sort of exponentially growing. So yeah, so to me I think CMS and Apurva is that we are on the pathway for collective impact.